And thank you, the chair, and also I would like to thank all for coming. And special thanks goes to Simim for traveling such a long distance for our workshop, and also acknowledge that we have actually done a number of events in Tsinghua, in Beijing, on our CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency research project under UNSW Tsinghua Joint Grant. So thank you so much for helping and collaboration. And I would like to talking today about the central bank digital currency. What I would like to discuss is about several questions. I think I would thank also the previous speakers, Ross and others, and also our colleagues from the regulator perspective, which give a very good background of what is CBDC. And also I will look at what's the difference between CBDC and the paper currency. And the focus, I think, for my presentation probably is more about what's the implication for CBDC if it's being used internationally, outside the border. And also I would like to look at that, since I'm representing one of the member and also co-director of the Herbert Smith Freehills CBO Center, to look at China, to see that what's China's possible plan for the CBDC, the digital RMB, and also reflecting on a broader issue about whether CBDC is sustainable. I think I will start first with CBDC with a very quick note, because what we look at is CBDC is being quite different from the Alipay or the PayPal we mentioned earlier, backed by the central bank. And actually, as it's quite important for China, the central bank, People's Bank of China, which is called PBOC, indicates that it's been very important for China because China's been a leader in terms of cashless payments, the mobile payment when you walk in Chinese market. And also, China, I think, has been expected to be probably a candidate for a first major country to issue CBDC. And also, it looks pretty interesting for China's perspective. For example, the PBOC argues that CBDC is so important as a cornerstone of the digital age. So that means they argue it's being a kind of the key to the competition among powers. So that's been the observation by the previous head of CBDC research at the PBOC. And that also shows that actually highlight some of the aims being proposed by the CBDC Research Institute's head at China. They've highlighted issue like value. They look at CBDC not only in terms of competition with other currencies, but also look at the value, whether they have maintained this stable value. They also highlight data. We'll explain later that data is crucial, as well as regulation. How do you regulate the economy? But I just want to wrap up this part as being it's so important of CBDC on financial stability, but also on digital trade, and also in China's view, the internationalization of the currency of China's RMB. So there'll be a huge implication for countries outside China. And also, it's been attracted a lot of attention in IMF. So recent IMF's observation is that actually, if the private entity cannot issue a virtual currency that is being free from over risky or not stable, then maybe the central bank should step in to issue the currency. And we already see a number of those kind of initiatives across a number of countries, and then they come to the second issue, that is, what is CBDC? How different from the legal tender or the cash? I think basically the key word is data. So even if now we see that the cash now we cannot track it, even if in electronic payment, but actually the CBDC can be used in a much deeper manner, because CBDC will be able to be used to track everything, and also, more important, they may have a smart contract. So that means I can use the CBDC only when the precondition, like the performance of economic activity, like in subsidy, has been implemented before the CBDC can be used. And also it's be useful to see how much you have in a deposit and where they go, how they go overseas. And the second difference will be like in payment. So one of the arguments for CBDC is that it's more efficient. So that means you're able to do that overnight, very quickly, especially when you have across the border payment, and that may happen much quicker than the SWIFT system we have. And also have a lot of implications for monetary policy, like helicopter drops, because then you're able, if everyone has electronic wallet, and central bank will be able to increase that to all the holders of that in one economy. And then we have the issue, I just want to be quick on that, it's been how they will affect trade, investment, finance. I probably focus on finance and trade because I know that Lu will talk about investment later. So for finance, I think one of the issues we face is actually there will be a providing application, for example, for SWIFT system. So because the CBDC in theory could also have the two countries, if the CBDC, they can agree on the exchange rates, so they don't need to go through those formalities or those the process we have. And also, more importantly, the CBDC will have implication for the position of the global reserve currency. So you see the example of China. So China's one of the impactors is that China's been the, like Alibaba and other industry power in this area. They want to lift that in a higher stage and to be a leader of the CBDC. And that's one of the incentives for other central banks to be a leader in technology as well. And also I want to see that's also have some dynamics because they also have implications that the central bank probably want to regain the control of the payment system because currently private payment system may make the central bank a little bit side or marginalized. And the second aspect, implication for trade. I think one typical issue is about smart contract. So if we have the smart contract precondition on that, then there already has concern that if you can use CBDC for subsidy, so I send subsidy more targetedly and more efficiently. So you cannot really abuse the subsidy because we have a precondition embedded in the CBDC, and that makes sure that the CBDC can only be used when the recipient meets the standards. And they may make sure that the government support of industry more effective. So there will be an issue about non-discrimination issue. There could be issue of the trade disciplines. So that's been a number of issues that may happen. But also, if properly managed, CBDC could be good in terms of helping to drive down the cost of the trade and investment, because you will be reduce the concern about how your transaction happening. But you are able to tracking when and how the payment is made across borders, and it will happen much quicker and much safer. But another side of the story is that it makes it more difficult as well for traders, because if you choose CBDC, your identity will be totally identified. You are not able to be keep anonymous in that sense. So they have actual trade and the trade-off between that, and that's one of the reasons why they have a lot of concern about that. And then the issue is that is CBDC sustainable? So I think they have one issue. Question one: will CBDC brings excessive digitalization? I have actually read some observations indicate that CBDC could be the worst idea because that makes a lot of broader role or size of the central bank. And then you have the issue, as I think Ed has mentioned earlier, that is being you have a much larger balance sheet for the central bank. Then you have the issue, how do you invest and so on and so forth. And also have another issue is about how do you deal with the boundary between the privacy issue, for example, between government and the privacy protection for the users, especially when you have issue cross-border. So if you use CBDC overseas, but the data still maintained in the country who issued the CBDC instead of the host country, then you have the issue where you put your data server. How do you make sure that data transformation of cross-border is safe, and how they make sure that privacy will be able to be protected? How about host countries? How do you able to access that? How do you deal with that? So there are a bunch of issues about that. Then you have the issue whether it go too far or not. And second issue, as mentioned, is you have immutability and convenience. Another issue, again, is the privacy. So there'll be a lot of problems because CBDC can have connection with national security and other regulations. So that makes the issues much more than a currency itself. And also have a last issue about financial stability, whether people will be interested, still have remain sufficient trust in the digital currency. Particularly, we have an issue which has not been totally addressed about technology. So what are the technology you're able to use that? Think about China's case, they are concerned about you have over 1.3 billion people using that. You may use that also overseas. And what happens if you have any technology issue or you have disasters, natural disasters? What does that mean? So, so I think for China's perspective, to wrap up, I think it's been a lot of interesting to see that China want to do more innovation or a different or kind of new creation of China's CBDC, in the sense that China also consider issue like how to make sure the subsidy and also the government measures will be more implemented in a more efficient way. But that also reflects the issue about the internationalization of RMB, which have spill effects on other currencies. I think the issue is actually they may have in the digital age, a competition of currencies. They may bring the issue of other countries have to respond to that if a major economy issue, the CBDC. And so I think that's been the issue that is CBDC goes beyond paper currency. When they're used in overseas, when they use trade investment, there are profound implications. And I think the key is about confidence, whether there's sufficient confidence in the CBDC, because you do have efficiency, but you do also have a lot of issue of risks, ranging from privacy, from the concern of technology, vulnerability on that. And the very important one, you need a powerful institutional frame for that. And the key issue probably is the storytelling. And we'll see whether CBDC will be a good storyteller. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Heng. Any questions? Yes.
Currently, the Chinese government have a lot of monetary policy limits of their currency flowing overseas. How would the CBDC impact that? Would that make that flow easier, or would they have a control of that?
I think it's a great question, because one of the challenges for China, for example, they have an issue about the capital flight. So the CBDC can be used as a one-way where, because you have you have to track everything, so that makes it difficult to have capital flight. But having said that, they still have other options. So Bitcoins, although they are banned in China, but they may have, if they have OTC trading, they may still have a way of have a capital going out of China or other country. So the capital control is actually one of the major issues also relevant to CBDC. CBDC can be used to some extent to deal with that. Another side, the story is that actually if CBDC is being strict on that, you still have the problem where people will find alternative to CBDC. I don't choose CBDC, I use private, decentralized currency to do those kind of tasks. So they still have issue that should be addressed.
Okay, one more question and then we'll take a break.
Is it possible for private companies to issue digital currency? So for example, say BHP, instead of issuing shares, instead of issuing bonds to raise money, is it possible for them to issue a digital currency that is based on a share of the value of the company?
And thank you for the question. I think it's basically, if we look at the central bank digital currency, it looks like to be issued by the central bank and back the central bank. So there may be a little bit, I think it will be difficult for the sheer issue to be raised in that context. I think that's probably more about the context of the private currency or the decentralized currency. Yeah. Thank you.